Welcome to the Consistent AK podcast. My name's Luke and I am joined by Nick. Got our Kickstarter over the line. Good. This week is a pop culture episode and we're talking about a few different things. We're finally talking about the Flash film, which Nick and I have both seen, and our views on that. We're also talking about the new MCU show, Secret Invasion. We talk a little bit about The Bear, which Nick has now seen the first season of. We touch upon Dungeons & Dragons, which I've seen it. And we also talk for a while about Superman and Lois Lane in the new James Gunn's Superman Legacy, which they've been cast now. We're very excited, especially about the Lois Lane casting. So join us, put the kettle on, or grab a beer, grab a margarita, whatever you want to do and eat. Put on this podcast and enjoy this episode of the Consistently OK podcast. First and foremost, our Kickstarter got funded, for those who don't know, so hooray, those who've listened to our previous podcast. So that is fantastic news. Nick did all the hard work on promoting getting it over the line, and Harry, the man, the myth, the legend, is doing some kick-ass artwork to wrap it up. So we made that, which is nice.
Yep.
And Nick had a holiday. I got poorly, of course. Two very different things there.
Yeah.
So yeah, but anyway, lots of stuff has happened. One thing that happened, it feels like a lifetime ago now, and the first thing we're going to talk about, because we're both desperate to talk about it, is we both have seen the Flash film,
yes,
which I don't know, came out a month ago, maybe 3 weeks ago.
I think just under. It was like the 14th
a month ago,
June, right? So
all the hype is now crashed for it, but
yeah,
there was a lot of hype, a lot of goodwill came before it came out. It's like, is this the best thing you're ever going to see? And then it was on track to make some big money, and it's kind of died down quite a lot, and it's not quite landed. But the most important thing that you want to know is what do Nick and I think.
Exactly.
Do you want me to go first?
It's up to you, whichever. I don't mind.
So I saw it.
You saw it before me. I know that.
I saw it before you, yeah. And I was a lucky person to see it early-ish, and then it's funny because my nephew asked me what I thought of it because I told him I'd seen it, and I said, yeah, it's okay, because I didn't want to ruin it for him either, because he's a big comic fan.
Mm-hmm.
And no, I didn't really like it. No.
Yeah.
No, I thought it was a mess overall. And I know people will probably think that I'm a bit blind because I like a lot of the Marvel stuff, although I am prone to criticize a lot of the Marvel stuff as well recently. But this, I don't think it gave me anything. It'd be easy to say that it's because we know, although it leads into the end, obviously spoilers, like there's an end credit scene with him and Aquaman, and they very much seem like they're part of the plans going forward under James Gunn and Peter Safran.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I mean, I feel like they missed so many tricks. Like why wasn't it Reverse Flash? Why wasn't Reverse Flash the bad guy?
Mm-hmm.
Just do it.
Yeah,
make it happen. And if not, why? I love Michael Keaton Batman. He's the Batman. A very good friend of the show, Neil from Get Your Comic Con. He's Neil's Batman as well. But although nostalgia was really good, why didn't they just do Thomas Wayne?
Yeah.
You know, why didn't they just do it like the comic?
Yeah.
With a little bit of difference. But I thought Michael Keaton was good. I love seeing him in the bat suit. I love some of the bits that he did. I loved his fighting. But there wasn't enough for me. That bit that I liked with him, it wasn't enough for me to enjoy this film on a level that a lot of people I know have enjoyed it on.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why the Flash runs the way he runs.
Yeah, I didn't bump into that because it was the same as like in the Snyder Cut stuff. And
yeah, it's the same, but it's still, I don't know why it felt a bit different. I felt uncomfortable when all the babies were falling out the window.
Mm-hmm.
Potentially because I'm about to be a father for a third time, and it's like my worst fear of a baby falling out of a window. I didn't really think about it until I saw the Flash, and now every window is danger. Um, it just didn't give me the payoff that I think the hype around it built it as. Because got to think, a few months before, James Gunn was like, it's the perfect superhero film, and bloody Tom Cruise was like calling up people and saying it's the best thing ever and all that. So yeah, no, I mean, obviously I've got more to say, but otherwise I just want to find out what you thought as well. I assume, judging from your reaction, you feel roughly the same.
Yeah, pretty much. Like I don't think it's the worst DC film. Like I don't think it's as bad.
It's not. It's definitely not the worst.
It's not Black Adam or Aquaman. Like those are the worst. Like
no, I agree.
Like they're both fucking dreadful. Whereas the Flash isn't dreadful. It's just, I think what I said to you is that it reminded me of Multiverse of Madness, where it was essentially like there is probably a good film somewhere in there. It's just lost in, like, please look at other things to ignore the fact that we don't have a story. Like Multiverse of Madness was like, please look at the fact that John Krasinski is playing Mr. Fantastic. It's like
I think Multiverse of Madness had a lot more going for it than this.
Yeah, I'd put them on the exact same page. Like I think I'm pretty sure we talked about it, but Multiverse of Madness I just thought dire, which is the same as this. It's not dreadful, it's just dire. It's like it just doesn't do anything of interest. And I feel like if you take out Keaton's Batman and Affleck, because Affleck is my Batman, is he? He's on par.
His bit, right?
He's on par with Pattinson.
So yeah, that beginning bit with Affleck, right, on the Batcycle, doing his cool shit.
Yeah, it was cool.
Cool. I mean, that's like the warehouse bit in Batman vs Superman that everyone loves.
Yes.
Like when you see Batman on his Batcycle doing what he does, that is a good Batman. That is a good Batman. That stuff is cool. And then you see his suit, and you think, what the flippity flop is he wearing, right? And
then I like the grey and blue. That was cool.
Then it was just that. Like I don't know. Like the Batman bits were good. You might as well have put Affleck and Keaton Batman in a film together.
Yeah, like that would have been way more interesting.
That would have been a good film. Yeah. Like something happens to Affleck that sends him back to like I don't know 1992 when I don't know. Just there were some good bits in it. Like I said, like the Affleck bit, I like that bit on the Batcycle, and I like the Keaton bits. But then there were some bits where I just was thinking like, oh man, just what is going on? Like this is it's a bit of a drag. Like every time we went into the Speed Force, I thought, I can't even work out what's going on. Like, how has he learned how to navigate this? Like, I know he kind of gets it wrong, obviously, but like, he kind of masters it pretty quickly all of a sudden. Like, I don't know.
I think the thing that it lacked, and like, I say this about basically every Marvel thing as well, is that it was like the stakes and the depth was just completely wrong. Like I didn't understand why it was, I'm going to go back and save my mum by making sure she picks up the tomato can, rather than like, I'm going to go back and stop the person who killed my mum. Like, why isn't there the thought that he's like, I'm a hero and I save people, I'll stop the person who kills them, rather than like, I'll just put a can in. And also like just find out who that person is. Like,
you want to know, right?
There's also a version of the story where it's like he just goes back in time, finds out who it is to come back in the present to try and pinpoint that person. Like that's also a story, is like he knows he can't change the time, but he could find out who it is and then could build a case around that person, considering he basically works in a crime unit.
Do you think they stayed away from that because of the Grant Gustin Flash stuff? Because that how strong that first
I don't know
season and second season were, and they were kind of like, wow, it's been done recently, so let's mix it up a little bit.
I saw something with Andy Muschietti where he said that if they did a sequel, which I don't think they're going to, because this hasn't made enough money, but he said that if the reason they didn't do Reverse Flash is because they want to do him in a sequel, and I just thought that makes no sense. That's like just
because they didn't even plant any seeds either, did they?
no,
There's
like there's
no,
just
there's no seeds. Like again in the TV show, they planted those seeds really early on. Like there was that was a massive deal when when those like things happened, like when Reverse Flash was revealed and everything like that, and the suit and everything. But I really think they missed the trick, and obviously there's a lot of unrest. Like the actress who plays Iris West has come out saying like she was invisible on set, so that doesn't bode well for it.
Yeah, that's harsh.
Ezra Miller obviously still has a lot going on, so whether they get kept on by, I mean, James Gunn, it seems obviously liked the film and everything, but
yeah,
either they're going to have to just completely stay away from Flash now. I mean, they were confident enough to put him in a post-credit scene with Aquaman, which again still has to come out. Like, what is the drive to go and see Aquaman? Like, what is that?
But question about this, because I said it to Harry, because I saw it with Harry. That post-credit scene, does that take place in the Clooney-verse? Spoilers.
Yeah.
And in which case, Aquaman 2 takes place in Clooney-verse.
Well, it's all going to depend on.
Is that how they've like isolated?
The thing is, it's going to depend on if Aquaman is. If they do Aquaman, and there's absolutely no mention of anything, like, because the way I understood it is that every version of Aquaman and Flash look the same, right?
Yeah.
But then if Aquaman's talking about Batman, him and the Justice League doing their shit, then in this version of Aquaman, then he will probably be thinking of the Clooney version, but we won't know that because he's probably not going to show anyone a picture or like meet him. But I don't know how they're going to do it. I mean, they have to probably edited Aquaman down, which is probably why they delayed it a bit, I guess, because they're probably taking out any reference of any of the other DC stuff that they've done because it just has to be a standalone film. But again, talk about consequences and stuff, but they might as well just say that they might as well just ended the Flash, right, and said like released Aquaman before if they could have, or delay Flash at this point and be like that's the end of this interpretation. Like everything starts anew now. We've got Blue Beetle, who's the first one that they're doing. I think like he doesn't count as chapter 1, does he? But
I'm really
James
confused
Gunn
by that.
That's where it starts.
Like, he is a DCU character, but the first DCU film is Superman, and I was like, I don't.
No, who knows? It's already a mess, isn't it? That's the thing. So they should have just said like, this is the first thing we're doing, Superman, and then everything else builds on from that, because I think that's more exciting than holding on to things. I said this last time we spoke about it, and holding on to things in the past. Like, you don't need Zachary Levi, you don't need Ezra Miller, you don't need Ben Affleck, you don't need Henry Cavill. Like you some of these people we would want to stay on. Like I really liked Henry Cavill Superman as well, but it's better just to start fresh, start new. Start dropping. If you want, the thing is, if you don't start fresh, then Darkseid and people like that, like the big bads, you need to have them built up again over time. The worst thing they can do now is have a Justice League film come out in 3 years. Like, it has to be way down the line so people forget about the Snyder Justice League, not because it was terrible, because I just think you all need to move on. It's like if they, it's where Marvel are finding themselves now a little bit, right? Like they've got so many things intertwined. Like She-Hulk kind of took a little bit of that gloss off, like it being serious because she's talking to a camera, and you can say the same for how Daredevil was portrayed in that. But because they haven't really distanced themselves from the Netflix stuff, because in the Netflix shows they mentioned the Avengers and stuff like that, and then like they kind of overcomplicated it. Like, when are we going to talk about a Secret Invasion next, or we're going to lead into it now once we wrap this up? But it just they're overcomplicating it. So for James Gunn, he had this glorious opportunity to be like we'll back everything up until it's all done. Like when Blue Beetle and Aquaman are out, we will support it, we will talk about it, we will post about it, but then when it's done, it's done. Like chapter 1, Superman, off we go.
It was just you're right that it should have just acted as the end point, and instead it's acted as like a murky middle end of where I'm kind of like, I don't get it.
I just don't know how Aquaman succeeds. I don't, even though it did $1 billion. The first one did $1 billion, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have thought
if Shazam bombed, the second Shazam bombed, and that got good reviews going into it, and then Flash has bombed, and that got good reviews going into it, and they're both. I think Flash definitely has a pretty high like love on like social media and stuff, or it did before anyway. And a lot of people liked Superwoman, didn't they? They really liked
Yeah, Supergirl.
Supergirl.
Yeah,
Superwoman.
Supergirl. Yeah, Supergirl.
So there were a lot of things people liked about it, but it's it's just I just don't know how Aquaman breaks even going
I mean,
at
like,
this rate.
I didn't think the first one would, because the first is fucking dreadful, but it broke
But
a
that was in the
billion.
midst of like the hype, wasn't it? It was like Justice League and stuff like that. It was all
I guess,
like
but it was
it was still
post
like
Snyder though, wasn't it? Like it came out after the Whedon Justice League, right?
yeah.
Which is like the period in which everything was like pretty dodge.
Yeah.
But it
There's
still
still
broke.
something Gal Gadot is like linked to Wonder Woman. Like that doesn't seem like that's like 100% done. But
That's the thing. I don't know which of these characters stick around and how, other than like the line in the Flash where it's like, oh, so these people are the same, but these people change.
they just, I
Which,
don't know. It
yeah,
just seems overcomplicated already. So I'm just, I mean, for me, I kind of hope Henry Cavill comes over to the Marvel stuff now. Like,
I think
just,
he's got his Warhammer, mate. That's his life, which I'm
yeah,
game
that is his
for.
life.
Like
Yeah,
that does like if he got that right, like I know very little about Warhammer, but I think if he got that right, it would be huge.
yeah,
Like
yeah. It'd definitely be huge.
it would
But he
be,
would make, he'd be a good Captain Britain.
yeah, true, but yeah,
Bring him on
I think he's going to go build the Warhammer
the
universe.
Warhammer universe.
So, but yeah,
what,
Flash.
what do you think about Secret Invasion then? Moving on swiftly from Flash.
Oh, just one more thing about Flash.
Mm.
Two more things. Sorry. One, Ben Affleck's dialogue. The last thing that he says is golden. Like that is perfectly written. And I thought it was his perfect Batman, where it's Barry's like, "Do you want to hang out?" And Bruce is just like, "Maybe another time." And like, there's something about that where it's just like you can tell he is broken. That he's like, "I'm fucked. Like, I've been doing this for so long, and I hate everything." Like, you don't want to hang out with me. I'm a miserable bastard. And I was like,
Yeah.
yes, that's Bruce Wayne. So I was like, that's golden. And the second thing is, when we went into it, when we were driving to the cinema, I said to Harry, I was like, I reckon Nick Cage will turn up in this, and I reckon George Clooney will be at the end. I hadn't read either of those online, and both of them happened. I was like, sweet.
I thought Nicolas Cage would show up, but I did not expect George Clooney to show up. I did not expect it at all.
Wild. Yeah. The
I
only
was
reason I
like,
thought
what
is just
are
because
you
I was
doing?
like the trailers for Flash, I was like, just look goofy. And I think I said it to you that I was like, I don't know if I'm going to enjoy it or not, because it doesn't give me a feel. Like none of those trailers gave me a feeling where I was like, oh my God. And I just thought it's goofy enough that it could go into Clooney's world. Like you could easily put that Flash into Clooney's world.
But then if Clooney's Batman, right, and Ezra Miller is Flash,
Yeah.
Jason Momoa is Aquaman, and they've just said this is the universe we're in, then when Batman the Brave and the Bold comes out, does that mean Clooney's Batman?
No, because that's a different universe, right? So like if Ezra is always Barry
Flash.
Allen in every universe, he would be Barry Allen in the DCU. The Snyderverse version of Ezra has ended up in Clooney's world, and that's like his own pocket now. Like that's where he exists. So if they cast Ezra in another film that is in the DCU, it would just be a different interpretation.
So it
And
could be just a new Flash that hasn't ever done any of the shit that he's already done. So
yeah,
technically, you could do a reverse Flash film with that Flash
mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
you
recast
could,
all
yeah,
the family.
yeah, you could do it if you want, yeah. Because in theory as well, this was the other thing that really confused me about Flash was going into it. The thing I'd read was that it referenced the Whedon Justice League, that was the canon.
Yeah.
But then there's a bit of dialogue where Iris is like, "Didn't I see you recently?" And Ezra's like, "No, no, no." And I was like, that doesn't happen in the Whedon version. That only happens in Snyder's. So I was like, that's confusing. But then he's like, I've never ran back in time before. And I was like, you did. It was great. It was so good in the Snyder Cut. But that was ignored. So I was like, I'm confused by all of this. Like, you've referenced Snyder and what the hell?
Doesn't track.
No. But yeah, so I guess those two things. But Nick Cage's Superman, I feel like I have to mention it just because I'm a huge Nick Cage fan. It was glorious. I just wish he had the weird suit. Like the weird see-through-y silver gold, like glowing thing. I was like, give me that.
I also really wanted Tom Welling to be
and like Grant Gustin. Like, how do you miss out like Grant Gustin? I was like, out of all the people.
Potential there, they've just left, but
on the table, Anyway, Secret Invasion. I love it.
I feel like social media ruins a lot of these things, right? So a lot of people, I mean, if I see one more person say Secret Invasion as mid is something I didn't know was a thing until whatever. It's like everyone saying people have to cook. I'm not down with the kids anymore. Don't understand. Half the people I work with talk about something slaps. Anyway, I don't know what's going on. But a lot of people are saying it's mid, which I interpret as being like average.
Yes, middle.
But you can't have it both ways. You can't have, we don't like Ant-Man. We want more serious stuff. And then you get Secret Invasion. And I know it's got Skrulls in it. And I know they're green. But you know it's the comic book show. But this is what a lot of people were clamoring for. So now they've got it. And they're like, it's not lighthearted enough. It's not this. But, I mean, it's good. Like, we were 3 episodes in at the time of recording this. And it's only going to go one way now, right? It's going to pick up the pace.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of players on the board. I think Samuel Jackson is very good as Nick Fury. I've always liked him as Nick Fury.
Yeah.
I think I love Olivia Colman. I think she's playing her role really well as well.
Sure.
I like, I think the guy who's playing the villain, I can't remember his name in real life, of course.
Yeah.
I just watched him in the Bob Marley trailer.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I can't call
it. It will come to me.
Yeah.
He's very good. He's playing Gravik. Is it Gravik?
Yeah, Gravik.
Sorry. And so I like it. I really like it. It's a slow burn. A lot of these Marvel TV shows do start off slow, but this you kind of understand the pacing, right? You know, and taking a couple of risks of spoiler. Obviously, they got rid of Cobra Smolder's character, Maria Hill. So it's good, and you do really think, like, at this point, my suspicion is that that Rhodes is a Skrull. Like, I just have that inkling. I know it's probably going to lead into his Armor Wars
series.
So I suspect something, because there are. I have read that there is like a major twist at the end, which I hope is not too disappointing. But whatever it is, it's like a knock-on effect for like lots of things. The only thing that annoys me, but I don't know if I can say it. Have you seen the Captain Marvel trailer?
I think so.
The new one.
Yeah.
Like Camilla Khan like screams when she sees the cat and everything.
Yeah.
Because Nick Fury's in it, right?
Yeah.
And he's kind of like happy in it. He's not like this sort of Nick Fury was seeing. So,
but I assume that was I assumed Marvel's was set before Secret Invasion.
No, I don't think so, because Fury's in space.
Because I assumed the Marvels would take place around the time that Ms. Marvel happens, considering the post-credit of that is when she switches bodies. And so I was like, oh, that's that present moment, is the two of them switching.
But then but Secret Invasion must come before that, though, because Nick Fury is looking like old Nick Fury, and he's been in space. He's only just come back down from space. So Secret Invasion must happen before it then.
I thought he was in space when in the Marvel's trailer. Is he not? Is he on Earth?
He's on Earth, yeah. He comes and knocks on the door. He knocks on the door of Camilla's house, and Captain Marvel's there, I think. And it's like, oh, this isn't going well. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
So it's like, so he's all clean.
I was thinking he was in space, and that's where they meet him, And I was like, oh,
No, no, he's on Earth, so it's like
mm,
that annoys me because this is so serious. But I kind of know like
it works
he's all
out.
right at the end, unless he's
Yeah,
a Skrull in the Marvels, or like he dies in this, and then like I don't know, Talos is like, I'll be Nick Fury. I've done it before. It was easy.
yeah,
I don't know, but that frustrates me
yeah. I
thinking
hadn't thought
ahead.
about that.
But it doesn't take too much away from. I really enjoy this show. I really like the third episode.
Mhm.
I really like the scene where he's face to face, and they all turn into him.
Mhm.
Like it's a very good, cool look.
Yeah,
So I like it. I mean, I've said that like 50 times now, but I like it, Nick. I
yeah,
really like it.
yeah. I think I realized when I was watching this that the things that I like the most about Marvel shows is essentially when it becomes a walk and talk show.
Hmm.
Like there's something about like the action's always fine, but sometimes it's like wall to wall action and then really shit humor. And I'm just like, I don't need that anymore. Like I've seen it a million times. But when you get a good like walk and talk, and it's taking place in the superhero world, I'm like, that's really interesting. I think that's what I liked about Snyder's stuff. Is Snyder's stuff has that where it is a lot of like dense kind of heavy emotion, people talking and fairly real chat, and then you get contrasted with like here's an epic moment. And for Secret Invasion, the thing that hit me was the bit where Nick Cage, yes, Nick Cage is in
Nick
this.
Cage.
Nick Fury and Talos are on the train, and Nick tells that story about like growing up and being on the bus. Um, and I just thought like it's a piece of dialogue and like a conversation, but I'm like you don't have to put that in a superhero show. Like so many shows probably wouldn't do that. And I like the fact that they took the time to kind of do that. That it was just like a really ordinary, like that could have been any other film, show, whatever. It didn't feel like a superhero thing, I guess.
Yeah,
And I think
I agree.
that's the thing that I like most about Secret Invasion is that so much of it, even though obviously there are aliens, it feels really grounded because it is very serious. Like there aren't a whole lot of gags in it or a whole lot of like
A lot of the gags kind of come. They're not like ha ha gags. Obviously, it's like when
yeah
Fury and Talos are talking in the car about like who's out to, and Talos gets
yeah
very
yeah
serious, saying like, "Well, actually, your career would never have been where it was." And then
yeah like
Fury's
that
like, "Come
yeah
back." It's like a married couple, right?
yeah
It's
yeah
like, "Well, excuse me, while we go and do this," and that's like. Obviously, it's not like a joke funny, but it's supposed to be like that's the humor that it is. It's
yeah
like
yeah
Nick Fury's sarcasm is the
yeah
humor, or and
and even like
they play off each other very well. They're very good.
mm, like Ben Mendelsohn I always love. I think he's great in like everything,
Yeah,
um but yeah, like even that piece of dialogue as well where he's like don't like rewrite history to the person who helped you write it in the first place. Like that was
yeah.
great. I was like, that is a really good piece of dialogue. Um, so I just like it. I can completely understand why people don't like it because I think I always fall on the side when something that is just all escapism and fun and joy and happiness comes out and I'm like, it means nothing. Like it doesn't do anything. It's pointless. Um, like those things I don't get, but then this is the kind of stuff I do get, where it's like you get into the nitty gritty, you get into a bit more depth and a bit more kind of like, ooh, that's
It'd be what would be interesting, right? Because again, social media is such a big influence these days, which is why you and I pre this were talking about like kind of like what the future is for social media and how difficult it is to get your voice out there and do certain things. But I wonder if if I was to sit in a room with like me, you, and a couple of people that we know are really into this stuff. Like you take about like some people that we work with on the podcasts and people that I work with in the shop and things like that, and they're like, okay, they're like 10 of us, like, what's our thoughts on this? I reckon you would have a much better conversation, right, than
mm-hmm.
the odd tweet from, Billy Bobby Jr., who just is writing something for the sake of writing. And I think that
Mm-hmm.
that sort of stuff really takes away. And we talked about Rotten Tomatoes before as well, like how much emphasis people have on that. Like, you know, some of it just doesn't do it justice. And like, I am, yeah, I think this is grounded, and I think it's worth people investing in and just going for it. It's good because I really like the comic by Bendis. Actually, was a mixed bag when it came out. I believe, if I remember right. But I reread it recently, and it's a good comic. Like, it's interesting. Like the fact that you don't know which superheroes are Skrulls. It's a cool hook, and I really think this could be a bigger thing going forward for the MCU. And I think it's kind of what it needed. Like, we had obviously, you weren't that fussed on Quantumania, and I didn't mind Quantumania, but we both really enjoyed Guardians of the Galaxy 4 and 3.
Yeah.
This is a good TV show to sort of follow that up with, and then what's next? Is it Loki? No, it's not. It's
Is it Marvels and then Loki, or is it
Marvels? Yeah. No, something must be out before
it
that.
might be Loki, because Marvels is the next film. But
yes,
I think
Loki.
Isn't Loki starting in like October or something?
Something like that. But I mean, I don't know what's even going to happen with that now. Jonathan Majors isn't out of the woods yet, is he?
I mean, they're still planning on releasing the show, as far as I can tell, because they're still talking about it. So
yeah,
nothing's changed there. But yeah,
they're not doing anything at Comic Con, are they? There's no Marvel booth at Comic Con.
I don't think anybody really is. Everybody seems to have pulled out of.
Spider-Man from the Sonic games will be there. I saw earlier.
Yes,
that's the biggest deal.
Yeah,
I pre-ordered that bad boy, Nick. I
nice.
Can't wait.
Love it. But yeah, I just pleasantly surprised by Secret Invasion and just enjoying the kind of more serious tone. I get the feeling I'm going to hate the Marvels just because that looks.
I don't think the Marvels actually looks that bad. I mean, I liked Captain Marvel as well. I enjoyed Captain Marvel.
Again, it's
just fine. It's the way I felt about Black Panther, right? I thought I liked it. It got a lot of Captain Marvel got bombarded by like people that were just hating because it was a female lead and stuff. But I didn't mind it. I like Captain Marvel as well as a comic character. I've read quite a lot of comics. I just I didn't like Miss Marvel. I didn't like the TV show that much, but I think she looks like I'm looking forward to her playing off the other characters.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. So it's a good soundtrack in the trailer as well. So yeah, what did you think about all the hype, all the negativity around the AI generated intro? We don't have to talk much about it, but
I don't know. I mean, like, it's a bad idea in general because it's
bad idea. But
I mean, like, it looks fine. Like, it suits the show is the thing.
I wish I didn't know about it. Like, I wish I didn't know it was AI.
Yeah. Because like I can see how it is AI because everybody's face looks a little skewed, but like I understand that it is what it is. I just wish they hadn't done it because I worry
there are more talent. There are loads of talented people out there, aren't there?
Yeah, and I think it sets a standard that like if Disney are like, we're doing this show that's about like shapeshifters and like people living among us, and the only way to represent that was with AI because it's something that's not human or whatever. I just think is a really shit argument because then it's like, okay, well, like anything where they do body snatches, anything like that, you're going to have somebody go like, oh, I'll just use AI because Disney did it, and it's fine.
I almost wish they kind of changed it now. Like, I was hoping that by the second episode there would have been so much backlash to do him like, even if it's like, that was temporary. We just had to whip something up quickly because someone's iPad died. So I think I just wish they had just used someone, but it kind of took away because I really like the intros of these things. I always think, and I can't wait when we talk about our next in-depth thing, like Daredevil stuff. Like that intro is just
that is the best intro for like a Marvel
so fucking
show.
good. I'll have a podcast just about the intro. So back to DC stuff. There was also announced recently the James Gunn has cast his Superman and Lois Lane for his Superman Legacy film, which is out for another 2025.
Yeah, it's like early 2025 though, right? It's like March or April or something.
Yeah, it's not like ages away. Like this time next year will be pretty close to it.
Yeah.
So they cast a relatively unknown actor for Superman, David
Corenswet. Yeah,
Corenswet.
Yeah,
I've got no chance. I'm not very good with names generally, let alone one that I rarely have come across. So it's, I mean, he looks he looks like Superman. He
Yeah.
looks like he's got the jawline and stuff like that. And I've seen him a little bit in a HBO show that I remember him being in,
Was
and
this We Own the City?
yeah,
Yeah,
We
it
Own
was
the
good.
City, yeah,
Yeah, it
he
was
was
good.
good in that.
Yeah.
So I love the idea of like an almost like he's not unknown, but like he's not a big Hollywood name.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, it's kind of like Cavill,
it's,
right? Like when Cavill was cast, I think
yeah,
he'd
so it's
only
like the world,
really
yeah,
done. Was it Rome? No, the Tudors. Didn't do. It was
yeah,
Tudors even. Yeah.
which is pretty great. Like I like it because they're kind of like they're hungry for it. You know,
Mm.
they're not like it's kind of like when Chris Pratt got cast in Guardians of the Galaxy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like he worked his ass off to look the part,
Yeah.
and then now the whole world's opened up to him, right? But he'll probably
Yeah.
never forget his big break. Like I've seen him say a lot of times, like where his big break came from, and obviously he had Parks and Rec, but
Mm-hmm.
like him getting that thing. It's the same with Batista as well, right? Him getting his role Drax has opened so many doors to him. So you hope for this the new Superman guy, like he can really hit a home run with it. And
Yeah.
I like the fact he's quite young as well. So
Yeah.
you know, there's a lot of if it does go well for him, then there's a lot of time for him to like grow into the role even more if he
Mm-hmm.
is as big a part as what this is. Because it's easy for him to say like he's a well known actor as well. Like if Nicholas Hoult had got it right, I know he was up for it, and I'm not saying like he's a Hollywood star, but he's not like
Yeah.
massive,
Yeah.
massive. But he could easily get bored after 2 or 3 films. So he's done the X-Men ones already.
Mm-hmm.
He's been Beast.
Mm-hmm.
But this guy, if he's down for like 4 or 5 films, like he'll be hungry for it.
Yeah.
Do you think he's good casting?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like the only thing I know him from is We Own the City,
Yeah.
and I can just vaguely remember him in it. So, but yeah, he looks the part. It's cool. I think the more interesting casting is Lois Lane.
Yeah.
I think that is like perfect. Like when I saw it, I was like,
So good.
yes.
So good. We did mention it though, didn't we, a few weeks ago?
Yeah,
We said
yeah,
that we had heard that she was up for an audition. So
yeah.
obviously, for those who don't know, if it's the first time you've listened, or if it's whatever, if you're just joining and you don't know how much we love the marvelous Miss Maisel, we love Rachel Horace Sands. He says, I guess it's that, isn't it?
I always think it's Brosnan, but then Brosnan's spelled different. I don't know.
Who knows? We apologise, but the actress who plays marvelous Miss Maisel,
Yeah,
she got cast as Lois Lane, and we love the marvelous Miss Maisel, so we are both equally chuffed
yeah,
for
like
her to get this role. I think she's got a great choice for Lois Lane.
yeah. I really hope that because she's so good at performing dialogue. I just hope that the dialogue for her is just amazing.
But it should be, shouldn't it? Can you imagine? I imagine her.
I could just imagine her audition was just
at the Daily Planet and stuff like that. If she
yeah,
has that same sort of like energy that she brings to Ms. Maisel, then she'll be shooting. And then if there's like a Clark Kent in there as well, that is like a calming influence on her.
yeah,
Again, it depends on. Obviously, they're going off the Grant Morrison comic, aren't they? So it depends
yeah.
how they play. How they play Clark Kent Superman? Like, is he just starting out at the Daily Planet? Has he been there for a while? Is he fresh off the farm? Is he been around the block? Because he said he's not going to do an origin story, didn't he? So
Yeah, and I think it is that Superman's been around for like a few years. I think is what I vaguely remember him saying is that it's like he is established. It's not like he's a new entity.
I always thought that was quite a challenging thing to do, but it worked well for Tom Holland Spider-Man. I know you're not the biggest fan, but no, with Homecoming, there was no origin story, was there? Like they've only basically said like he was bitten by a spider very quickly, but it worked in the aspect that we really know the origin story of Spider-Man, and we know the origin story of Superman. I actually don't think you could do much better than the Man of Steel one. I thought that was such a good, like opening to a Superman film.
Awesome. Zack Snyder's openings, by the way, are usually great. Like I think the opening to Watchmen is fantastic.
And Sucker Punch.
Yeah, I always forget about Sucker Punch.
I actually like Sucker Punch.
It's wild.
Didn't get enough love.
There was a director's cut of that as well that he's talked about. That I think he's at one point he was trying to get it made, like he was trying to get it out there. But hey, but yeah, I think she's awesome casting. Like she is just perfect. Like I really liked like Amy Adams. I wasn't a massive fan of. But then when I saw her as Lois, I really liked her as Lois. Um, and then I started to, I think, appreciate her performances more. Um, Whereas this is the other way, where it's like I just know that she's great. Like she's cool in House of Cards, but in Maisel, it's just like she's.
Yeah, I really liked her in House of Cards as well.
Um,
It's a shame about House of Cards. Eh? It was
yeah,
good.
I do hope as well that her casting opens up more people to watching Maisel.
Yeah, that would be. I mean, people will wonder if anyone's ever talked about it on a podcast before, and then they'll
Again,
find
they'll
our
find us.
podcast and be like, "These guys were well ahead of it."
Yeah,
So she might find it as well. Like, has anyone been bigging me up? It's probably why she got the role.
probably.
So yeah, excellent casting.
Yeah.
You said you'd also seen. Oh, sorry, more on that or?
No, I was actually going to say before we go on to this next thing, just because you'd mentioned Tom Holland, did you see the trailer for Craven?
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, I did. Man, man. Why's Russell Crowe in it? What is he? What is he addicted? Like, you're everywhere. Been a Superman's dad, then you were Zeus. Now you're in another Marvel film. I mean, that's like the whole Flash thing, right? It's just Russell Crowe is different in every universe.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, it didn't. I mean, serious Morbius vibes. Like,
although
they don't.
I think I said to you this. I thought Morbius was better than Venom 2. Which like surprised, like that's not saying much because Venom 2 is terrible, but like watching Morbius, I was like, yeah,
Venom 2 is not good, but I don't mind Tom Hardy as Venom.
I don't mind him. I've really had an issue with
Woody Harrelson as Carnage was shite.
Yeah, like it was annoying because I thought he would be amazing, but he just wasn't. And the whole like weird relationship he had with Naomi Harris, is that the actor?
Yeah.
That just didn't work for me. But watching Morbius, I was like, I wasn't offended. Whereas for Venom 2, I was like, I'm kind of offended because I really like Carnage.
Do you know what the sad thing is about all this, right? That I think Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery is up there with Batman's Rogues Gallery.
It's like the best.
So the thing is, when you go from watching the Craven trailer to watching the Craven Spider-Man 2 game trailer, and like, well, that makes sense. This guy's in the jungle. He's bored. He wants to hunt something, so he's going to New York, go and fight something. That is like Craven's Last Hunt shit. And you see this mofo, Aaron Taylor Johnson, and it's just that's not Craven. That's not Craven. What? Stop making them into anti-heroes. Morbius, Craven, they're bad guys. Just make it a bad guy film. Just have Craven killing a bunch of people, not because they're like bad and he's good, just because he's a killer. Like set it up. Just set it up. So now we've got Venom, an anti-hero, Craven, an anti-hero. You've got Morbius, an anti-hero. Like just.
And technically Vulture, right? Because Vulture turns up at the end of Morbius and is like, I hear you want to start a team. Awesome.
Just obviously they tease a little bit of the trailer, all these spiders like dangling around him. So they're like, there's some teasers that he's going to hate spiders. He's maybe scared of them. I don't know. Just stay away from it. And the thing is, they really want Tom Holland Spider-Man to like join in this thing. But if the second he steps into one of those films, all of those villains are done for. Like they're all done for. And I swear to God, if they start taking like Chameleon and stuff and Mysterio, like I mean they did Mysterio already, but you know some of these other rogues, like just because Chameleon would be such a good villain in a Spider-Man film if they did like Spider-Man Daredevil, he'd be a good like part of a 2-villain thing or something because he's a good villain. And then I mean Craven would be a good villain. I mean that's the film. I think I said to you ages ago, like an end credits, like an MCU Spider-Man film, right? An end credits scene should have been like a shit ton of rain, like a mansion, like Craven's mansion, and then you just see, you know how like in the Venom end credits where you saw Tom Holland on the TV screen, like it should have just been someone like getting out of a chair, like groaning, like because like Spider-Man is on the TV and he's like, that's his next target. Like that should have been a tease, like really dark, and then you Craven versus Spider-Man, you just base it on like Craven's Last Hunt. But no, they didn't. They just done their own bloody thing.
The only thing I appreciated about it was the fact that he bit somebody's nose off. I was like, nice. Like, at least you're going for like an R rating. Like,
nice.
You're going for something different. But funny.
Just makes me so so annoying to think about it. Like, so, because Craven the Hunter, I think that's my favorite Spider-Man comic. And
Yeah.
I've read a lot of Spider-Man comics. I love Spider. He's my favorite superhero character, and I'm just disappointed that they're not gonna do it justice. I mean, they could easily say like down the line, like this universe is separate from that universe, and
Mhm.
obviously the Venom looks like Venom's in another universe, right? So they
Yeah,
could
you
do
can't
Venom in the
work it
MCU
out.
eventually.
Yeah, like where's
It's too many villains now. Morbius, Craven, Carnage, Venom. Like
because Vulture definitely left their universe, right? Like
Vulture got switched, didn't he? They're saying in
yeah, he
the
left.
multiverse thing he got
Yeah, so he's
dragged
in
over.
Morbius's universe
Yeah,
now.
I don't think Keaton will be back now. I mean, what they really want to do is a Sinister Six film, isn't there? But how do you do a Sinister Six film where these films are getting bombed? Like,
Yeah, but they're
can't
making money. Like
can't.
that's the crazy thing. Like I know Morbius probably didn't make a load of money, but I think it was a pandemic film, wasn't it? It was like,
It got pushed back, didn't it? It just kept getting
yeah,
pushed
just
back and pushed
yeah.
back and pushed
But
back.
like Venom
But
one
it
and
did.
two made so much money
And
for
they're
like
doing Venom
terrible
3 now,
films.
aren't
Why? Just stop. It's not good. It's never been good. But yeah, who knows? Anyway, yes, yeah. The next thing I wanted to talk about, which is because I think I talked about it in the last episode, but I've now finished season one, was The Bear.
they? Yeah,
Because
good
you'd already
stuff.
seen it, recommended it, and I think I'd seen 2 episodes. I think when we
Yeah,
last chatted, um, and I was loving it. Like I thought the first episode was just incredible. The writing was so good. In the same way that Maisel is like the writing on this is just crazy. But yeah, The Bear was just non-stop. Like that episode where it is all one shot. I haven't watched the video
so
yet
good.
that you're on about where you see them like film it, but
Yeah,
that was so intense. Like just
so good.
from like dialogue, performance, everything just keeps building and building and building. And I think when the episode finished, Charles and I, my partner, were just like, "Oh, you need like a break."
It's so intense, and the fact that they're all doing so much as well, because it's like a
Mm,
theatre thing, right? They all know their
yeah.
place and stuff, but they're chopping
Mm,
vegetables and they're like bumping around, and there's like steam flying everywhere.
mm.
It's all so well written. Like, I don't know, obviously, that obviously the camera will pan around to different thing, and they're probably all just like getting in their right position and stuff. But it doesn't feel like that. It feels like you are in that kitchen,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah. It's just chaotic.
it's really good. It just
Um,
reminds me of the hallway scene in Daredevil, like
yeah,
how well structured it is. Because that hallway scene, although it's not full like 40 minutes, I think that
mm,
episode was or something, wasn't it?
yeah,
No,
yeah,
it's like a 15-minute fight or something crazy. I don't
yeah,
know. I can't remember what it was.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm really glad. So season 2 of that's out in a couple of weeks, isn't it? So we'll
Yeah,
be able
I'm
to talk about that
so
in the
excited to
future.
watch about that because yeah, that first season was just mad. And like, I think I can't remember if it's the next episode, like after that one shot, or whether it was the episode before, but it's the one where he's at AA and he delivers like the monologue about his brother, basically. That was so well done. Like the writing was great, performance was great, just like everything was spot on. And I thought when they bring in John Bernthal, which was a complete surprise, I was like, what? Didn't know he was in this. Um, that was great as well. And like the last shot of the season, sort of being his face smiling and stuff, I just thought it was just like pitch perfect for everything.
Yeah,
It was wild.
it's excellent TV. It's
Yeah.
got season 2's got Will Poulter in, hasn't it?
Oh, has it? Nice. I like him.
I think
That's
so.
cool.
I think so. I mean, I've seen a picture of him. He might just have like been visiting the set or something, but I'm pretty sure he's in it. Yeah,
Amazing. Yeah, I'm
he
so
looks
excited
like
to watch it.
super tanned. It's like looks like he's still glowing from being Adam Warlock.
Nice. Yeah,
Um,
very
the last
excited.
thing before we wrap up this episode, I saw Dungeons and Dragons. So it's
Oh yes,
I know it's been out for a long time now, but I thought it was very good. I
it
thought it
is.
was like just what you would expect from that kind of film. So
Yeah,
I really enjoyed it. So again, like
yeah. People should go check it out.
I don't think it was like again, it's not haha funny, but the bits that were meant to make you laugh like did make me
Yeah,
smile. Like
yeah.
Chris Pine's little quips every now and again were very
Mhm.
good. So
I thought the
I've never
grave
played Dungeons and
scene.
Dragons in my life,
Yeah, me
so
either. But I thought the
um,
grave scene was really well done. Like the comedy there was really good.
yeah,
Um,
it was really good. And a lot of
yeah,
people that I know I work with at the comic shop, they play a lot of D&D, and they said have been fans for it for a long time. It did a really good mix of mixing in all the old stuff with some of the newer stuff, and
mhm.
not taking the piss basically. So yeah, I thought Hugh Grant was really good.
Really, yeah, really. Like, yeah, I just thought everybody's really good, and I'd be happy to see more of it. Like,
Yeah, me
I
too. I don't
really
think they're
want.
doing it though, are they? I don't think
I thought they
they're
had
not doing
announced
it.
that they're working on a sequel.
I know they're talking about doing a TV show, something to do with TV show, but when they did it thinking it would just be a one-off. Like there was no plans, but
Oh, well,
easily they could do a sequel, couldn't they? No, it's a
yeah,
big universe.
yeah. For some reason, I thought they'd announced a sequel.
And maybe I
But
missed it, but I looked at it after I watched it and I thought, because I hadn't looked at anything to do with it other than like
no,
I'd
they
seen the
haven't
trailer when
announced
it
it.
came out.
That's a shame. I think they should, because I don't think it did too badly at the box office. I think it did all right for what it
It came
was.
out at a time where Dungeons and Dragons was under a bit of pressure. Though they had done some,
Yeah, it was like when
there
they'd
was
done something bad or
they'd done something bad. Yeah, they had like made some changes and things in it. I think people were kind of like, Dungeons and Dragons. We noticed it at the comic shop. There was like a drop off of people coming in to talk about it. So
yeah,
yeah,
it didn't do as well as I thought. Budget was 150 million, and it did 208.2.
all
So
right, isn't that good?
yeah, that's a shame because I would love more. Like,
Sometimes they'll probably
yeah,
balance it on how well it was received as well, right? Because if
true.
there's a chance that they could, I mean, making 100 million is still pretty good
Yeah,
deep down.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
all right, good. Well, I
Cool.
think that's it for this episode.
Yeah.
So our next episode is going to be in depth, and we're carrying on with our Skewniverse films. So we're going to be talking about the Jay and Silent Bob reboot.
Hey.
So you can look forward to that. We're wrapping up. We've only got 2 of those left now.
Reboot Clerks 3, right?
Clerks 3, and then that'll be end of this season as well before we move on to bigger and better things.
Yes.
So more information of that will come later. So if you enjoy this podcast, then you can find us on social media at ConsistentlyPod on Twitter and Instagram. Type in Consistently OK Podcast on YouTube, where you can see both our wonderful faces as we record these episodes. And you can find us on any podcast provider as well. Just look for Consistently OK Podcast. We've got loads of podcasts. We're now near the end of our 3rd season. We've done in-depth on the Batman films, and we've talked about comic creators, we've talked about wrestling, we've talked about multiple superhero shows. So if you want to hear more, anything we've recorded previously, then you can find all the old episodes and give us a listen.
Yes.
Leave us a comment, share us with your friends, share us with your family, and hopefully you enjoyed it. So thanks, Nick.
Thanks, dude. Anytime.
All right, bye.
Bye.